Hello, leader. Welcome back to the Fierce Factor podcast. It's Kaylee here, and you are tuning into episode number 199. We are just literally at the heels of our 3-day bootcamp, Unlock Your It Factor. We put together this bootcamp to share with our audience a powerful sneak peek into some of the behind the scenes conversations that we're having with our thought leaders as we work to help them grow their visibility and master communication online, in person, and on stage. And if you joined this bootcamp, how amazing was that? I had such a great time over the past 3 days. So many aha moments, powerful takeaways from our attendees on how to combat nerves, fears that they had around showing up publicly, some of the imposter syndrome that sneaks in when you finally get that call and that opportunity to share your expertise, worked through some bits and pieces about how to show up, lighting, what to wear, how to show up on stage, how to work the audience, some just really great techniques. And in this 20-minute clip, you will hear our KLC Strategic Growth Advisor, Krista DeNargo, discussing our ACE framework, specifically techniques such as box breathing and how breathwork can help calm the nervous system and help to really utilize those nerves to your advantage. I'll share a bit about imposter syndrome, where it comes from, and how to combat it. And finally, stay tuned for an exciting announcement about our new program, Voice of Impact, a completely personalized elite coaching program that expertly guides you to master the art of communication through your thought leadership, so you can share your experience and knowledge with an authentic and dynamic presence that transcends. Okay, leaders, enjoy the segment from our bootcamp, Unlock Your It Factor. Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go.
All right, so we're going to talk about the 3 parts of today that are really going to help you with confidence and assurance when you are speaking and when you are nervous. And the truth is, the nerves are there. It's actually not a bad thing. It means you actually care about what you're doing and what you're talking about. Sometimes if you're not nervous, you should wonder why. Maybe you should be a little bit nervous. But we're going to help you reframe it and live with those nerves and hopefully use them to your own benefit. So we're going to talk about the giver's heart, which Kaylee and I always talk about how this really changed the game for us when it comes to public speaking, because it's a reframe. And as Kaylee said earlier, often we jump to the execution part of, okay, I have to gesture and stop using filler words. But actually, you need to get aligned with yourself and your reason for wanting to speak in the first place. That work cannot be skipped over. It is so important because if you get your mind right, your body will follow. So again, then a part of that physiological step is breathing. I know somebody said they're scared of forgetting, or sometimes we are not taking in enough oxygen. It can be that simple. When we get nervous, we forget to breathe. It happens, especially if we're on stage or in front of a large group of people. Yeah, Shannon says me. Yeah, we all do it. It's also part of excitement, and it's a practice. So breathwork is a practice. We will run through a few steps on how to take more deep breaths and not the thoracic breaths that happen up here that could actually create more nerves. Then we're also going to address imposter syndrome. We all have it. It's a natural part of stepping up in the world. That is what happens when we elevate ourselves. We are suddenly in a territory where we have never been before. So it's just the unknown. So it's really, we're gonna talk through that a little bit. So first, Kaylee, is there a slide oh, there we go. Thanks. So the giver's heart is, for me, a game changer. I know Kaylee feels the same way. It's actually a reframe of your mentality of why you are even wanting to open your mouth to begin with. So the giver's heart is a way to approach your communication. So let's say you have to speak in front of a group of people. You want to go in with a giver's heart. Well, what do I mean by a giver's heart? Well, you are there as a speaker to give to your audience. You are there to give them important information, deliver a powerful message. You are there to deliver something that they will benefit from. So the giver's heart is about giving to your audience. It has very little to do with you. You are acting almost as a vessel to deliver a message that is important to your audience. But really, it's not about getting anything from them in return. You are simply there to give. And also knowing those benefits, telling the audience those benefits is also part of the giver's heart. Another part of the giver's heart is having an open heart and not being scared of anybody stealing your ideas. There's no competition when it comes to a giver's heart because you are a wealth of knowledge. Nobody can replicate your authenticity. Nobody has lived your life. Nobody can communicate what you're communicating. I don't care if they're facts from a textbook. You are a unique person and you are communicating that information in your own unique way. There's nobody else who can do it like you. So again, that giver's heart really helps take the pressure off of perfection. And listen, ladies, we are in the aesthetics world. We all care about being perfect, showing up, as perfect as we can. A lot of us become obsessed with that. That is not the way we want to think about communication and speaking. We need to just take the attention off ourselves, put it on our audience. We are simply there to give something back. And for me, that was the biggest thing that I had to adjust to make my nerves go down. I'm not there for me. I'm there for you. I'm there to help other people be better versions of themselves, do better in the world. Now, unfortunately, what happens is when we don't have this type of coaching and training, we go in, and this is, not to fault anyone. I've done it myself with a taker's heart. What is a taker's heart? Well, I'm showing up because I want to be validated and praised by all of you. I want you to smile at me. I want you to applaud for me. I want you to be envious of me and think that I am the, God's gift to the earth. That is the taker's heart. And, we have to check our ego. Psychoanalysis, we talk a lot about ego. We got to check our ego at the door because our ego is what makes us feel nervous. So if we go in with that taker's heart, we're like, oh my gosh, are they looking at me? Are they thinking about me? Look what I'm wearing. Do I have a wrinkle? Is my hair out of place? Do I have a weird smile on my face? All of that is what we were thinking with a taker's heart because we need something from our audience. That will make our nerves go up and our confidence go down. And unfortunately, that's what most of us are dealing with when we're not reframing. Kaylee says, ego is what got us on stage in the first place in many ways. Yeah, ego's great. We need ego. We need to really embrace ourselves for the incredible women we are and for the achievements we've accomplished. And, not to go off on a rant of how, women have been silenced for a long time. And I think it is time for us to acknowledge our accomplishments and ourselves and use the ego to our advantage. But ego will also create those nerves. So we really have to check ourselves and keep that fine balance in place when we're speaking. So that's really the giver's and taker's heart. Has anyone ever heard this before? I'm just curious. Is this new for people? By show of hands, has anyone heard about this? I see Delaney's shaking her head. Yeah. I think it's a really interesting concept because it's really just a reframe of how we can go into something and say, this isn't about me. This isn't about me. And so if I mess up, it's okay. They have the audience has the option to receive my message or to not. Oh, from my podcast. Yeah, absolutely. We talked a lot about that. All right. So that is our giver's heart. Now, nerves are undeniable and nerves have physical reactions. As Kaylee was saying, physiologically, they run through our bodies. We sweat. We have shortness of breath. We are shaking maybe. I mean, it depends how bad your nerves get, but they can get out. I've been so nervous before where I'm like, oh my God, my hands are shaking. Like I can't keep my hands from shaking. So again, we like to use the reframe of, okay, maybe this is nerves, but physiologically, it's actually equal to excitement. am I nervous or am I just really excited to be here? A lot of pro athletes use this before a big game. There's a lot on the line when they're, on TV and about to do a big championship game. And so they are able to reframe their nerves to excitement. I'm excited to play in this game. I'm excited to show my skills. I'm excited to be a part of a team. I'm excited to, show everybody all the training I've had, all the things I've experienced, and really finally have it all come to fruition. So that free frame is the first thing that I really think we can do to keep our nerves in check, but still acknowledge them. And what's interesting is, and we'll talk about this later too, but our body doesn't know the difference between excitement and nervousness. It shows up in the same way. So, okay, we have these nerves where we're freaking out. What can we actually do in the moment? You're like, okay, Krista, the giver's heart didn't work for me. I'm still shaking. Okay, so what do you need to do? Well, you need to keep your body in check and keep your nervous system in check at homeostasis. You got to lower your heart rate. I don't know if anyone's had the experience of doing breath work. And again, I know a lot of this stuff can be like, oh my gosh, this is so woo-woo or whatever, but it scientifically is proven to work. This is not some sort of spirituality practice. Breath work is scientific. So there's something called box breathing. I like box breathing because it's the simplest one to do. And essentially what you're doing is first of all, you're taking in breaths to your stomach. Anytime you're doing breath technique, you don't want to breathe into your chest. That's what I was calling thoracic breath. When you breathe into your chest, it actually can make your heart rate go up and make you more nervous. So you want to breathe into your belly, your diaphragm. How do you know you're breathing into your belly? Well, your belly puffs out. It'll poof out a little bit. So you want to make sure all your breath is happening into your belly. This is going to better oxygenate your blood. And again, when you're forgetting things, you're blacking out, you are not getting enough oxygen to your body. So you need to take those belly breaths. So that's going to be your first step, is making sure when you're breathing deep into your body, into your stomach. Okay, so that's the first part. But a box breath is equal parts of breathing. So you breathe in for 4 seconds into your belly. Yeah, and you could all try it with me right now. I mean, I don't know if anyone wants to do it, but you breathe into your belly for 4 seconds. You're then going to hold it for 4 seconds. You're going to breathe out for 4 seconds, and you're going to hold it for 4 seconds. And then you begin the cycle again. So it's just beats of 4 creating a perfect box. If 4 doesn't work for you, if you want to try it 3, or you want them longer, 5, this is a great way to just take your attention off yourself, put it on something else, and this will really calm your nervous system. I also recommend extended exhale breathing. Is anytime you do breath work where you breathe in, but breathe out for longer than you breathe in. So another technique is 4-7-8 breathing. When you breathe in for 4, hold for 7, breathe out for 8 beats. Extended exhale breathing will actually lower your heart rate. You can actually lower your heart rate by doing extended exhale breathing. And again, like I said, you are oxygenating your blood. You're getting oxygen to your brain. So this is all going to help you be sharper. It's going to help you not forget, and it's going to help to calm your nerves. The last thing I just want to say is that breath work is so powerful because changing your pattern of breathing can actually change how you feel. Again, a lot of what we are experiencing, a lot of what you said, I'm forgetting, I'm nervous, this imposter syndrome, these are feelings. They are simply feelings. Feelings are not permanent. I like to talk about feelings like passing clouds. They're always shifting, always changing, and always moving. They are never fixed in one place. The way you feel in this very moment is nothing going to be the way you feel in 2 seconds from now. So again, just acknowledge that doing a slight change, like in your breathing, can actually change how you feel. And I think Kaylee's going to talk a little bit about, right? Kaylee, you're going to talk about imposter syndrome? Oh, you're muted.
Hi. I just said the most important thing too while I was on mute. It's over. Yes, no, I love that. I was thinking about, I was doing my breathing as well. And also thinking through what are we thinking about when we're breathing? And so I think this is an important part to address, because this was one of the things that kind of came when I was talking about the story of being in front of the executive leadership team and making that presentation. I sort of went to this whole place of like, who am I? I'm not even good enough. And listen, we get this sort of imposter syndrome comes up in a lot of different ways, not just about, oh, now I'm a thought leader. People are looking up to me. They're listening to me. I better know my stuff. But as we are growing and evolving as humans, is all of a sudden, I think sometimes we've, like think back to 5 years ago. And did you ever think 5 years ago you would be where you are now? Most likely not, right? You never thought you'd actually be sitting in this room learning about techniques for breathing to speak on stage or on social media or in front of an audience. You may have not even thought you'd have something to share with an audience, and now you've built something really incredible, and you do, or you become somebody who has, and that's amazing. And so it doesn't matter how successful you become, imposter syndrome creeps in, and it will continue to creep in. So these are important tools to learn just in life, because as you continue to advance, you've advanced because you hold yourself to a certain standard, and you're going to continue, right? You'll continue moving that line and seeing yourself push that standard as you go. So I want to talk a little bit about what imposter syndrome is to start. I know it's kind of a kitschy phrase, and I think sometimes people don't identify it, but like, well, I feel these feelings, and I'm worried that maybe somebody, like I might say something that somebody else like knows is wrong or thinks is wrong, or I say it, and I love what Krista said about like everybody, you have something totally unique to share, because what you're sharing is, this is my perception, this is my perspective, this is my lived experience. And so I want to share with you what I'm doing, right? And there isn't a right or wrong way about anything. We all have our own lens. And so what we're doing is we're sharing our experience from our frame. So imposter syndrome is essentially a cognitive dissonance between what other people will say about you and what you say about yourself. So it's this sort of this dichotomy, or this like separation of, well, I know I believe this about myself, but I'm worried that other people will say this or think this. So you may say something like, I know rationally that I'm qualified, but I feel like I'm not really, right? Does anybody feel like that? Just put a yes in the chat if you're like, yes, I know I am, but then there's still this little like voice in my head that's like, but maybe you're not, right? And that's the thing, the underlying truth of imposter syndrome is that you can feel unworthy or not good enough in some way. Okay. And it doesn't really make sense in a lot of ways, because then when you're in your right mind, you're like, okay, dumb, like, of course, I'm here for a reason. But then it can be hard to kind of wrap your brain around that. So it could feel like there's no connection between what other people see about you and what you see about yourself, right? And I've seen it the other way around, where like people think you're just so amazing, and you're like, I'm really not that amazing. You're like, what are they talking about? So this can be like a real mind freak. So before we talk about how to cure imposter syndrome, I think it's important to talk about where it comes from, so like why you have it, put some context around it. It's actually really a form of your own self-talk. And so various habits of conditional thinking and thought patterns will tell you that you're not good enough, or that you need to constantly achieve more. Sound familiar? Right? No one's like, I made it. Like, I'm good. Check that box. No, we're constantly thinking about, we have this need for more, to achieve more. Maybe it's the feeling that because it's easy, it comes to me easily, that I might not be that good at it, because we're used to having to like grind it out to like get something that feels good. And then there's the social or cultural or family conditioning that tells you that you're inferior, or you should be doubting yourself. You're told that you're supposed to be assertive, but also, stay quiet and look pretty. And you're like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? And this is just social conditioning. This is inside of our present, inside of our thoughts and everything that we do. And if you're a woman in our society, then you're going to deal with that in a whole different way. Constantly encouraged to second guess yourself, to criticize yourself, You're supposed to check and double check your work, and you're told you should be able to stand up for yourself. But when you do, you're a bitch, all of these kinds of things that are just these subtle, well, yes, of course, we have such great opportunities as women and can and should feel so empowered to be able to have the ability to stand on the stage and share something that really matters. But then, there's all of those sort of things in the back of our head. You're told, you're smart and ambitious and be that way. But then maybe men won't want to be with you because you're not, subtle enough or whatever, subdued. And it's like, there's no way to win. And so if you were raised to value yourself based on your accomplishments, it will be natural to become fixated on asking yourself whether you're good enough, smart enough, and worthy enough. And then it's terrifying to think in your mind that you might find out later that you're not as smart or as good as you thought. And that's really what's happening in this whole sort of ecosystem inside of your brain, right? It's just this cycle that's going on, and this soundtrack inside of your head that you may not even realize. And if you don't observe or identify with these messages, you will most certainly deal with people around you who will support you at, to a point. And then at a point where you start to grow and evolve, your success may expose them to some of their own vulnerabilities. And this is a reality. And I only say this because look, we're all in this room for a reason, And so then I see women do this all of the time where it's like, oh, everybody's like, go, 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 go. And then they win the big award and get the big talk on stage. And all of a sudden like, oh, she's this and she's that. And well, what, And we have to be okay with that. That's not a reflection of us. That's a reflection of somebody else and their own insecurities, right? Otherwise, they'd be in this room doing the work that you're doing. Let's just be real. Okay. And, so look, this is sort of the point that these things are going to happen. This really all has nothing to do with how capable you are, who you are, whether the fact you should be on stage. It's this mind, this talk track that's going on in your head, and this dissonance between what you're capable of and the worry of what other people will think.
Hang tight, leader. As a high-growth female badass, there's only one thing standing in the way of you showing up as the most confident and dynamic leader you desire to be this year. That is closing the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. This year, stop dreaming about the future and start making your thought leadership goals a reality. I want to help you make that one empowered decision that will be a life-changing catalyst for you personally and professionally. And that is to become a more dynamic communicator on stage, in leadership, and online, to monetize your expertise, and to develop a revenue stream that doubles as brand visibility rocket fuel. So listen up. Here's what I know. Your ability to deliver a potent message touches every piece of your business, from team building and training to sharing your perspective, whether on stage or through social media. Each day that you're not working on the skill is a day that you're leaving money and, most importantly, your potential for legacy building impact on the table. Introducing our brand spanking new program, Voice of Impact, a completely personalized elite coaching program that expertly guides you to master the art of communication through thought leadership, so you can share your experience and knowledge with an authentic and dynamic presence that transcends. In just 6 weeks, we'll provide the framework, the personalized coaching, and the tools to unlock your powerful presence so you can confidently step onto the center of any stage you want to occupy. Sign up now or schedule a no-pressure discovery call to learn more at klcconsultants.com/VOI. See you there.